Hi, I'm Snigdha Sharma, and you're listening to Three Things, the Indian Express news show. In this episode, we talk about caste discrimination at a government school in Uttar Pradesh. We also discuss India's current COVID situation, and we go over details of the anti-infiltration operation in Jammu and Kashmir's Uri. Beginning with Uttar Pradesh. While Article 17 of the Indian Constitution says that untouchability is abolished and that its practice in any form is forbidden in the country, we all know that casteism continues to plague our society. And it is especially abhorrent when children are made its victims, which is what happened at a government school in Uttar Pradesh's Mainpuri district. 60 of the 80 children at Dodapur Government Primary School belong to the Scheduled Caste. It was recently discovered that the utensils used by these children for their midday meals were being kept separately on the premises and being washed by the children themselves. In fact, when officials went to inspect the school after receiving a complaint, the cooks told them straight that they would not touch the utensils used by the SC students. And according to the complainant, Sahab Singh, the village head's representative, the two cooks said that they would rather quit their job than wash their utensils. So to talk about this incident in detail, we were joined by Indian Express's Asad Rehman, who reported on the matter. So Asad, can you start by telling us a little bit about the village where the school is located in Mainpuri, maybe a little bit about its demography?
So the village in Mainpuri where this incident happened, where Dalit children's utensils were kept separately and the other children's utensils were kept separately, is a village very close to Kannauj, but it comes under Mainpuri district, and it's a small village with a population of around 2,000 people, which is divided between Dalits, Thakurs and backward castes, with Dalits and Thakurs constituting around 35% population each of the village, and the rest 30% is divided between the OBCs or the backward castes. And it's a reserved seat for scheduled caste category. And the village head is a person from the Dalit community named Manju Devi, and her husband Sahab Singh acts as the village head representative in the village.
Right. So Sahab Singh, who is the village head's representative, who also found out about this incident in the first place and complained, can you tell us what he discovered?
So a couple of weeks back, Mr. Sahab Singh received a complaint from some parents belonging to the Dalit community that utensils being used for the midday meal by the students in the school were kept separately in the school, while the Dalit community children had to keep their utensils in the classroom, and the other castes, including Thakurs and backward castes, had to keep their utensils in the kitchen. Now, after Sahab Singh, the village head representative, found out, he went to the school to conduct an inspection, he claims, and he found that the allegation was true and that the students were also made to wash their own dishes, which is a common practice in schools, that the students eat their midday meal and then they wash their dishes and keep the plates in the school. But Sahab Singh's allegation also says that the utensils were kept separately, which was then brought to the notice of school management committee, and a team of the district administration from the Basic Shiksha Adhikari's office went to conduct a visit, and during the visit it was found that the allegation was true and that the dishes were actually kept separately, and that the two cooks who belong to the backward caste refused to touch the dishes of the Dalit students. So this was found during the visit by the CDO and some administrative officials who had visited the village after a complaint from the village head representative, Mr. Sahab Singh.
So, Asad, you spoke to the Mainpuri Basic Shiksha Adhikari, whose name is Kamal Singh. What did he tell you about the action that has been taken ever since, the details of what was going on in the school came out in public?
Yeah, so once this issue became more prominent because the videos started circulating on social media, and when the team of officials visited the school and found that the cooks refused to touch the dishes used by the Dalit kids, then immediately action was taken against the school headmistress, Garim Rajput, and she was suspended. And the two cooks were relieved of their duty after an approval from the school management committee, which is headed by locals from within the village.
Right. And you also spoke to the students from the school and also their families. What did they tell you?
So I spoke to students' families in the Dalit community. I spoke to around 5, 6 students within the Dalit community, and all of them confirmed that this was happening in the school. And one of them even went on to say that when she was new to the school, because she had joined the school recently after she had to drop out from the private school she went to, because she did not know that Dalit students are not allowed inside the kitchen. So when she went inside the kitchen to ask for the food from the cooks, they scolded her and they told her that stay outside the kitchen and that food will be served to you outside the kitchen and you're not allowed to come here. This is what one of the students had told me. And then other students also confirmed the fact that the utensils were kept separately for based on the caste of the students. And they also said that out of 80, 60 students in the school are from the Dalit community. And that is because the Dalits in the village are poorer than the other communities and hence are forced to send their children to the government school while the other caste and communities send their children to private schools, some of which are outside the village.
Right. So, Asad, you returned to the village, and the Dalit Pradhan's husband and also Representative Sahab Singh, he has alleged that he is being threatened by the Thakurs of the village after making this complaint. What was your conversation with him like?
So on Sunday, I went to the village at around 2 p.m. in the morning, and I visited Sahab Singh's house, but it was locked. So I spoke to the neighbors and asked them where the village head and his family had gone. And they said that he had left for an emergency and that something had happened. So I called Mr. Sahab Singh on his mobile phone and asked him where he is. And he told me on the phone that he's being threatened by the Thakurs in the village and that they are saying that if you do this kind of politics, then we are going to kill you. And that he had left the house because of the threat and that he had gone to meet the district superintendent of police and the district magistrate to lodge a formal complaint against this threat, and that the Thakur men also used caste slurs against him over the phone, and they told him that if you're seen in the village, you won't be left alive.
Right. And you also spoke to the Thakurs, right? What was their opinion on this matter?
When I went to meet the Thakur community and their men, they said that no such threat had been made to Sahab Singh, anyone from the village, and that they leveled allegations against Sahab Singh of, interfering in school functioning when it's not under his purview, because the school, as per the Thakur men, is managed by the district administration and not by the village panchayat. So this is what those Thakur men had to say, and that they leveled other allegations against Sahab Singh that he humiliated the cooks who were there and that his behavior when he went to visit the school was not appropriate with the cooks. But Sahab Singh, on the other hand, made completely different allegations and said that the Thakurs are saying all this because they don't want the system to change and they want the old system, which is the segregation of utensils, to continue. The Thakurs also say that because the two cooks who used to cook at the school were from the backward community, and if they have left and if they've been relieved of their duty, then someone new will have to cook at the school. And Sahab Singh, the village head representative, had said that it will be someone from the Dalit community. So the Thakur men said that if that is the case, then no one is going to send their children to the school.
And now coming to our country's current COVID situation. After a gap of more than 6 months, the number of active COVID-19 infections in India has finally fallen below 3 lakhs. And just to give you a better picture, this number was as high as 37 lakhs at the peak of the second wave in May. Kerala, however, has been consistently contributing to more than 50% of the new infections in the country. And now Mizoram in the northeast too has started reporting a high number of new infections. So to find out more about how our country is doing COVID-wise, we were joined by Amitabh Sinha. So Amitabh, first of all, if you can start by giving us an idea of what the overall COVID situation in the country has been like over the last couple of months.
So, as we know, the numbers are like on a steady decline since the middle of May, I think, when the second wave peaked. And after that, there has been a steady decline. Right now, India is reporting between 25,000 and 30,000 cases every day. And that's the level that we have seen for the last over a month or so. Almost like over 50% of the cases are coming from Kerala, but a lot of other states, we have seen the number of cases have gone in 3 digits. And in some states, even below 100. So that is the situation as of now, except for Kerala and Maharashtra. Most of the other states, thankfully, I would say, are relatively silent. so that we are more or less do seem to be in a stable situation. At least the numbers are not rising. So we seem to be in a stable situation right now.
Right. So, like you just mentioned, Kerala has been consistently the top contributor, and it has been a while now. Can you tell us more about why this is happening and how is the state handling it?
The only reason why this is happening is because Kerala, compared to the rest of the country, has lower disease prevalence. As in, the number of people who have actually been infected by the virus is slightly lower than the proportion of people in the other states. Because of which, what happens is there is a larger pool of people who have not been infected and therefore potentially can be infected. And therefore, we have seen a higher number of cases coming out from there. That's the explanation that has been offered for the Kerala case for a pretty long time now. I don't know how long that should remain valid. We might also be seeing some amount of reinfections happening, but that would be true not just of Kerala, but should be visible in other states as well. I think a very good explanation of what is happening in Kerala is still to be found. But yes, I mean, the low disease prevalence is a fact that has been borne out by multiple sero surveys. So that is definitely at least part of the explanation, if not the full explanation. Now, the thing is, as we move forward, and at least for the last 2 months that Kerala has been reporting very high numbers, that disease prevalence should have gone up almost at par with the rest of the country by now. So we should be seeing a fall in Kerala cases as well. And if we look at the trends for the last few days, there does seem to be a slowdown in the numbers being reported from Kerala. For the last 10 days or so, it's firmly below 20,000, or earlier it used to be between 20,000 and 30,000. So we do see a slight reduction happening in Kerala as well, not as fast as some other states, but definitely a reduction taking place. So that is the situation in Kerala. Kerala is also reporting very high number of deaths. I'm not very sure, but I would assume that some of this death numbers are actually from previous days as well. I mean, every state actually reports deaths. Deaths are always from previous days. Deaths are not current deaths. The deaths that are reported today are not exactly those that happened today, but sometimes from several weeks of backlog remains in the reporting of deaths. But I think in Kerala's case, what they also seem to be doing, and this is just a guess because we do not have very good information on this, it does seem that instead of adding death numbers in bulk, as some states have done, Maharashtra has done, Bihar has done, Punjab has done, lots of other states have done, when they do the data cleaning exercise, they add the numbers in bulk. So suddenly you would see the numbers rise by several thousands on a particular day. I know Maharashtra has done it. I think what Kerala seems to be doing is it's adding the numbers steadily every day and not in bulk.
So, Amitabh, you also mentioned in your report that, Mizoram has become a cause of concern now. So, can you tell us what is going on there and what could be the reasons behind these high number of infections?
Actually, we do not very well understand what exactly might have happened in Mizoram. But very surprisingly, Mizoram is actually amongst the top 5 contributors for the last 10 days or so now. It's consistently reporting 1,500 plus cases. Monday was an aberration, mainly because every state actually reports low numbers because of relatively low testing on Sunday. But Mizoram is reporting numbers, is in the same bracket as Kerala, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, and Andhra Pradesh these days. And that's very surprising. It's a small state with barely 12 lakh population. So we really do not know. We'll have to find that out, what exactly is happening in Mizoram. But the northeastern states, not just Mizoram, but the states around Mizoram as well, they have been an outlier, for example, for the last 1 or 2 months. You would assume, considering their size and population, they have been contributing much larger number of cases for the last 1 month or so. Now, Mizoram has accelerated a lot in the last 10 days. Others have remained more or less at the same position. Also, other states have begun to decline a bit. But in the last 10 days, Mizoram actually has been reporting unusually high numbers. And that does seem to be a reason of concern as of now. Although I would guess that it would be a short-lived phenomenon, not the same kind of thing that we have seen in Kerala or Maharashtra. But we do not understand right now, we do not have full information on what might be causing this. It's possible that there might be some what are known as super spreader event that might have taken place, and it's a result of this.
Right. And which are the other states of concern?
In most other states, I think have slowed down considerably. If we leave aside, say, Kerala and Maharashtra, then the situation right now is resembling what it was in the middle of February, just before the start of the second wave. You had multiple states, almost 10 states, which are reporting cases less than 100 every day. You have almost like 20 states which are reporting less than 1,000 cases. In fact, only 5 states are reporting more than 1,000 cases as of now. In February, you had the death numbers, daily death count has fallen below 100. It is yet to happen right now, mainly because Kerala itself is reporting almost 20 to 150 deaths every day. But again, except for Kerala, there are several states which have stopped reporting any deaths for several days now. There are states like Rajasthan or Madhya Pradesh or Gujarat, they are reporting maybe one death in a week. So that is the sort of frequency that we have seen. So more or less, as of now, we do seem to have reached, except for Kerala and Maharashtra, the kind of situation that prevailed till the middle of February before we saw the start of the second wave.
And Amitabh, finally, I have one more question for you because we heard the news about the US President Joe Biden getting his booster COVID shot. Can you tell us when will we see it happening in India and how important is it?
So the question of booster shot is still an open question. Do we need it or when do we need it is the question that has not been decided. Why do we need a booster shot? That's, of course, fairly well understood in the sense that what we know as of now is that these vaccines are unlikely to give you a permanent immunity against the disease. How long the immunity is going to last is again a question that has not been settled. Whether the immunity is going to last for 6 months or a year or 5 years, this is something that we do not know as of now. And the fact that the immunity is not permanent would mean that we would have to reinforce that immunity. We'll have to get back that immunity through the booster shots of the vaccine. So that's the necessity of the booster shot. But whether we need it now or whether we need it next year is something that's still not decided. In fact, a few weeks ago, there was a report in the Lancet which said that as of now, and it was talking globally, it doesn't seem a booster shot probably is not required immediately. That was the gist of the Lancet study at that point of time. But we have seen several countries going in for a booster shot. Most notably, Israel has already given booster shots to a huge proportion of its population. In several other countries also, people have been recommending booster shots. In India, we haven't actually recommended booster shots till now. There has hardly been any decision in this regard. But eventually, maybe it's possible that we would require booster shots, if not this year, then maybe next year. And it's also possible that the future generation of vaccines that are developed may induce permanent immunity as well, which means that the requirement for booster shots would not be there. But it all depends on future research and the results of the studies that come in.
And finally, coming to Jammu and Kashmir. A 19-year-old Pakistani militant belonging to Lashkar-e-Taiba was captured alive during an anti-infiltration operation along the line of control in Uri sector of Jammu and Kashmir, in which one ultra was killed and 3 Indian soldiers sustained injuries. At a briefing in Baramulla district, Major General Virender Vats told reporters that an operation was launched on the 18th of September after the army noticed suspicious movement along the LOC. He said that an encounter took place when the infiltrators, believed to be 6 in number, were challenged. While 4 of them were on the other side of the fence, 2 had come on to our side of the territory. The official said that one of the infiltrators was killed in the encounter on the morning of the 26th, while another pleaded that his life be spared. And as per the ethos of the Indian Army, after taking due precautions, he was taken into custody alive. The apprehended infiltrator has given his identity as 19-year-old Ali Babar Parra, a resident of Okara district in Pakistan's Punjab province. And according to the official, he has admitted to being a member of the Lashkar-e-Taiba, and he has also revealed that he was trained for 3 weeks at Khyber camp in Ghariwala in Muzaffarabad in 2019. According to what the Indian Army has found, he was recalled this year for some important task and was told by his handlers that he has to drop supplies at Patan. But when the Indian Army officials went through the recoveries and modus operandi, They found that the men had come for some kind of a strike and not just for dropping off supplies. The Indian Army officials said that the infiltration attempt was made along the Salamabad Nala, which is also the same route that was used in the 2016 suicide attack on the Uri garrison. The official said that the movement of such large number of people cannot take place without active complicity of the Pakistani army deployed on the other side. Major General Watts said that there has been an increased movement at the launch pad across the LOC. Watts added, and I quote, "This shows the desperation of Pakistan that when they see peace in Kashmir, they send in terrorists to disturb peace by sensational strike. 7 terrorists have been neutralized in as many days while 1 has been nabbed alive." Unquote.
You were listening to 3 Things by the Indian Express. Today's show was written and produced by me, Snigdha Sharma, and was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar. You can follow us and leave us feedback on Facebook or Twitter at Express Podcasts, or send us an email at podcasts@indianexpress.com. And if you like the show, please do subscribe and leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts from so more people can find us. You can also look for us in the audio section in the top right corner of our website, indianexpress.com.